You know, one of the interesting things about Leave It to Beaver that no other show can brag about is that it started out as a television show in the golden age of television, obviously those 234 episodes in the 50s and 60s, and then it reran forever. I mean, everybody was familiar with it. It's really hard to find somebody who hasn't seen it. Then in the early 80s, it became a 2-hour movie of the week.
You're always telling me I should figure out what I want to do. Well, I have. I want to bring my kids back to Mayfield so that they can grow up in a home full of love and understanding and a lot of good stuff in the icebox.
And Brian Levant, who was the head writer on Happy Days, was a huge Leave It to Beaver fan. And he had just finished Happy Days and was looking for a project, and he said, you know what, let's take this to the network. It was on CBS. It was called Still the Beaver. It was one of the top 10 movies. And then the people in Hollywood and New York said, well, if they're that popular, why don't we make this into a series? Kind of like Leave It to Beaver. We can have Jerry and Tony both have families and have kids and see how an updated version was.
It was one of the first series that was really successful on cable. We were on the Disney Channel, and we doubled their subscribership in a year. Then they canned us, and then we went on the Turner Channel, and we had the largest order in history at that particular time. I think it was 72 episodes or something like that.
We tried to get as many of the original characters for the new Leave It to Beaver as we could. So Ken Osmond, who played Eddie Haskell, Frank Banks, Barbara Billingsley. Now, Hugh Beaumont sadly passed away in 1982, actually about 4 or 5 months before we were actually going to do the show.
Bob Mosher, unfortunately, had died too young again, and Joe couldn't write any longer because he'd had a brain aneurysm, so he was alive and fine, but he just wasn't up to Joe Connolly. So we had other writers.
You know, it's interesting that the show has not only been enjoyed by a number of generations, but it itself has gone through generations and been in a lot of different forms.
You know, Ward, looking through a scrapbook like that is just like watching the boys grow up before your eyes.
Yeah, and it was quite revealing watching Eddie Haskell progress from an insincere little kid to an insincere big one.